Relationships, at their best, are a source of mutual growth, support, and joy. They thrive on clarity, consistency, and shared intention. Yet, too often, men find themselves ensnared in connections that offer neither clarity nor commitment, where they are left chasing breadcrumbs of affection while the other party reaps the benefits of their attention without reciprocating. This phenomenon, often described as being strung along, is not a mere accident of miscommunication. It is a calculated dynamic designed to keep you available as a fallback option while the other person pursues their true priorities elsewhere. The emotional toll of such a situation is profound. Months, sometimes years, are wasted in a cycle of hope and disappointment, draining energy that could have been invested in your purpose, peace, or a partner who truly values you. The Stoics, from Marcus Aurelius to Seneca, teach us that true freedom lies in focusing on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and responses, while accepting what is not, such as the intentions of others. In relationships, this means recognizing when you are being manipulated and choosing to act with intention rather than reacting with desperation. This essay will guide you through 7 clear signs of being strung along, each illuminated with psychological insights, real-world analogies, and practical steps to break free. By the end, you will not only understand the mechanics of emotional manipulation, but also be equipped to walk away with strength, not to harm the other person, but to save yourself. Number 1, she's always too busy, but only for you. One of the most telling signs that a woman is stringing you along is her perpetual claim of being too busy to engage with you meaningfully. This is not about the genuine demands of a packed schedule, work, family, or personal growth, but a deliberate tactic to keep you at a distance while maintaining your interest. You may notice her texts arrive hours or days late, plans are frequently canceled without rescheduling, and your attempts to connect are met with vague excuses like, "This week is just crazy," or "I'll let you know when I'm free." Yet, her social media is alive with posts about outings with friends, trips, or other activities that seem to take precedence. This behavior is a red flag because it reveals a stark truth. You are not a priority, but an option. A woman who is genuinely interested in you will find ways to make time, even if it's a brief call or a quick coffee date. When someone values you, they create space for you in their life, no matter how hectic their schedule. In contrast, strategic busyness serves as a shield, allowing her to control the pace of the relationship while keeping you invested with minimal effort. You may find yourself chasing her, questioning whether you're overreacting or giving her the benefit of the doubt. But deep down, you feel the distance, a gnawing sense that you're the only one trying to keep the connection alive. Psychologically, this dynamic exploits a fundamental human tendency, the desire for closure and validation. When she keeps you waiting, whether for a text, a plan, or a clear signal of her feelings, she creates a cycle of anticipation that keeps you hooked. Behavioral psychology likens this to intermittent reinforcement, where unpredictable rewards like an occasional sweet message or a fleeting moment of attention make you more likely to persist. Much like a gambler at a slot machine, each time you wait, you invest more emotionally, hoping the next interaction will bring clarity. Meanwhile, she gains your attention, validation, and sometimes resources without committing to anything substantial. This waiting game is not just frustrating, it's draining. It erodes your confidence, making you question your worth and whether you're doing enough to earn her time. Over time, this can lead to a state of emotional limbo, where you're neither fully in nor out of her life, stuck in a holding pattern that serves her comfort but not your growth. To understand this dynamic, consider a sports team. Imagine you're an athlete training diligently, showing up early, and giving your all, but the coach consistently sidelines you with vague excuses. "We're working on the lineup," or "next game, maybe." How long would you tolerate this before questioning your place on the team in sports? effort and consistency are non-negotiable. A coach who values a player ensures they have a role. Even if it's not perfect, relationships are no different. A woman who truly values you will show up, communicate, and make you feel like a partner in the journey, not a substitute waiting on the bench. The solution to this pattern is deceptively simple yet profoundly empowering. Match her energy, not her excuses. If she's too busy to prioritize you, respect her choice by stepping back. This doesn't mean confronting her with anger or begging for her time. Both reactions cede your power. Instead, it means protecting your dignity by redirecting your energy to those who reciprocate it. Stop initiating contact, stop rearranging your schedule to fit hers, and stop waiting for her to find time. A woman who values you will never leave you guessing about your place in her life. By withdrawing your investment, you create space for clarity and, ultimately, for relationships that align with your worth. Consider John, a 30-year-old professional who met Sarah at a networking event. Their initial chemistry was electric, and Sarah seemed interested, texting John sporadically and agreeing to occasional dates. But over months, John noticed a pattern. Sarah was always swamped with work or personal commitments. She'd cancel plans last minute, respond to texts days later, and offer vague promises of catching up soon. Yet, her Instagram was filled with photos of brunches, vacations, and nights out with friends. John felt like he was chasing a mirage, constantly adjusting his schedule to accommodate her. When he finally stopped reaching out, Sarah sent a flurry of messages, but by then, John had realized the truth. He was an option, not a priority. By stepping back, he reclaimed his time and soon met someone who valued his presence consistently. This example underscores a key Stoic principle. Focus on what you can control: your actions and mindset. John couldn't force Sarah to prioritize him, but he could choose to stop investing in a one-sided dynamic. This shift in perspective is the first step toward breaking free from emotional manipulation. Number 2, her words don't match her actions. The second sign of being strung along is a disconnect between what a woman says and what she does. She may shower you with compliments, call you babe or my person, and hint at a shared future, creating the illusion of commitment. But when it's time to follow through, whether by showing up for a planned date, being emotionally present, or taking steps toward a deeper connection, she falters. Plans are postponed, promises are broken, and you're left with a sense that her words are hollow, like a beautifully wrapped gift box that's empty inside. This discrepancy is more than forgetfulness or miscommunication. It's a form of emotional manipulation. By saying what you want to hear, she builds a false sense of connection, keeping you hopeful while delivering nothing substantial. You might bring up your need for consistency, and she'll nod in agreement, promising change. But the pattern persists. Or she'll send a miss you text just as you start to pull away, rekindling your hope before retreating again. Psychologically, this tactic leverages the power of cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding conflicting beliefs. You believe her words because they align with your hopes, but her actions tell a different story, leaving you confused and striving to reconcile the two. This confusion can trap you in a cycle of self-doubt, where you wonder if you're misreading her intentions or not doing enough to earn her commitment. In reality, her sweet words are emotional bait, designed to keep you engaged without requiring her to invest fully. This dynamic is particularly insidious because it exploits your desire for validation. Each kind word or promise feels like progress, but without corresponding actions, it's merely a tactic to maintain control over time. This erodes your trust in your own judgment as you grapple with the gap between what she says and what she does. In sports, promises mean little without performance. Imagine a coach who repeatedly tells a player, "You'll start next game," but never puts them on the field. The player might feel hopeful at first, but as the promises pile up without action, they realize they're being strung along. Relationships operate on the same principle. Words are cheap, but actions reveal truth. A woman who values you doesn't just speak of her feelings, she lives them through consistent effort and presence. To escape this trap, adopt a simple but powerful rule. Believe what she shows you, not what she says. If her actions don't align with her words, trust the evidence of her behavior. This doesn't mean becoming cynical or dismissive. It means grounding yourself in reality. Stop clinging to the potential her words suggest and evaluate the relationship based on what's happening now. If she consistently fails to follow through, don't explain it away or wait for change. Instead, exit gracefully, redirecting your energy to those who demonstrate their intentions through action. Take the case of Michael, a 28-year-old graphic designer who dated Lisa for 6 months. Lisa often spoke of a future together, calling Michael her rock and talking about trips they'd take. But when Michael suggested concrete plans like a weekend getaway or meeting her friends, Lisa would agree enthusiastically, only to cancel or delay with excuses. When he expressed frustration, she'd reassure him with affectionate texts, but nothing changed. Michael felt stuck, torn between her words and her absence. Finally, he decided to focus on her actions, realizing she was more interested in the idea of a relationship than the reality. By walking away, he freed himself to pursue connections that were genuine and reciprocal. This story illustrates the Stoic principle of accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Michael's choice to prioritize evidence over hope was a step towards self-respect and clarity. Number 3, she keeps you in the gray zone. Few places are as disorienting for a man in a relationship as the gray zone, a nebulous space where you're neither her boyfriend nor just a friend, but something undefined. She avoids labeling the relationship, dodges questions about your status with vague responses like, "Let's not rush things," or "I just want to go with the flow." You may spend time together, share emotional moments, or even experience flashes of jealousy from her. But when you seek clarity, she pulls back, leaving you in a state of perpetual uncertainty. The gray zone is her preferred territory because it offers all the benefits of a relationship: attention, emotional support, sometimes physical closeness without any of the responsibilities. She keeps you warm, like a backup quarterback on the sidelines, ready to step in when needed, but never given the starring role. This ambiguity is not a sign of indecision. It's a deliberate choice to maintain control while keeping her options open. From a psychological perspective, the gray zone exploits your need for certainty and belonging. Uncertainty triggers anxiety, prompting you to invest more in the relationship to resolve it, much like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. This dynamic gives her power, as you're constantly striving to prove your worth, hoping clarity will come with time. Meanwhile, she benefits from your presence without committing, creating a one-sided dynamic where you give more than you receive. The danger of the gray zone lies in its illusion of a relationship. The moments of connection, late-night talks, shared laughter, or fleeting intimacy feel real, but they lack the foundation of mutual commitment. Over time, this erodes your sense of self. As you question whether you're enough to be chosen, imagine training tirelessly for a sports team, showing up early, and giving your all, but never seeing your name on the roster. You ask the coach for clarity, and they respond with, "Let's see how it goes." You'd feel disrespected, uncertain, and eventually question your place on the team. The gray zone in relationships is no different. You're investing in a dynamic that doesn't fully include you, hoping for a role that may never materialize. The antidote to the gray zone is to demand clarity, and, if it's not forthcoming, choose yourself. You weren't created to live in confusion or beg for validation. If she can't define the relationship, take it as a sign of her intentions or lack thereof. Walking away doesn't require drama or confrontation. It's an act of strength, signaling that you value yourself too much to settle for almost. By stepping back, you create space for relationships that are clear, intentional, and reciprocal. Consider Alex, a 32-year-old engineer who spent a year in a gray zone with Emma. They went on dates, shared personal stories, and even spent weekends together, but whenever Alex asked about their relationship, Emma would say, "Let's not put pressure on it." He felt stuck, unsure if he was her partner or just a friend with benefits. The turning point came when he realized that waiting for Emma to come around was draining his confidence. He calmly told her he needed clarity, and when she offered more vague responses, he walked away. Within months, Alex met someone who was upfront about her intentions, and their relationship flourished because it was built on mutual clarity. This example reflects the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control, your decision to stay or leave. Alex's choice to prioritize his peace over uncertainty was a powerful act of self-respect. Number 4. She constantly talks about other men. A woman who frequently mentions other men exes, co-workers, or even casual admirers is often engaging in a subtle but deliberate tactic to keep you emotionally off balance. These references may seem harmless at first, woven into conversations as casual anecdotes. "My ex used to do that." Or, "This guy at work was so funny today." But over time, you notice a pattern. Her mentions of other men make you feel like you're competing for her approval, as if you need to prove yourself against an invisible roster of rivals. This behavior is not mere small talk. It's a form of psychological warfare disguised as conversation. By planting these references, she creates a sense of competition, prompting you to work harder to secure her affection. It's a tactic designed to keep you insecure, striving to outshine the others she casually mentions. Psychologically, this tactic leverages social comparison theory, which suggests that people evaluate themselves by comparing themselves to others. By mentioning other men, she triggers your insecurities, making you question your value and pushing you to overcompensate. This dynamic shifts the power balance in her favor, as you become focused on winning her approval, rather than assessing whether she's worthy of yours. The danger lies in how natural this can feel. You might mistake her openness for honesty, thinking she's just being transparent. But a woman who respects you doesn't need to constantly remind you of her options. Her focus would be on building a connection with you, not creating a mental battlefield where you're always on edge. In sports, imagine a coach who constantly praises another player's performance while ignoring your efforts. You'd feel like you're in a never-ending tryout, competing for a spot that's always just out of reach. This is exactly what happens when a woman keeps other men in the conversation. You're not a partner. You're a contestant in a game designed to keep you chasing. To break free, refuse to play the game. Don't react with jealousy or try to outdo the men she mentions. These responses only reinforce her control. Instead, observe the pattern. How often does she bring up others? And how does it make you feel? If it's consistent and intentional, it's a sign she's more interested in your reaction than in building a genuine connection. Step back calmly, redirecting your energy to those who value you without making you compete. Your time is too precious to spend proving your worth to someone who treats you like a contestant. Take David, a 29-year-old teacher who dated Rachel for 4 months. Rachel often mentioned her ex or male co-workers in ways that seemed casual but left David uneasy. She'd say things like, "My ex was great at planning surprises," or "This guy at work always knows how to make me laugh." David found himself trying harder to impress her, but the more he did, the more distant she became. Eventually, he recognized the pattern. Rachel's comments were designed to keep him on edge. When he stopped reacting and reduced contact, Rachel's interest faded, confirming she was more interested in the chase than in him. David moved on, finding peace in relationships where he felt valued without competition. This story highlights the Stoic principle of detaching from external validation. By refusing to engage in Rachel's game, David reclaimed his emotional autonomy and opened the door to healthier connections. Number 5. She only reaches out when she needs something. A glaring sign of being strung along is when her communication is transactional. She only reaches out when she needs something, whether it's emotional support, a favor, or a quick bailout. She might call after a bad day, seeking your ear, or ask for help with a task. But her engagement ends there. You rarely hear from her just to connect, to check on your day, or to share a moment of mutual interest. Instead, her outreach feels like a transaction, where you're a resource rather than a partner. What makes this dynamic deceptive is her warmth during these interactions. She might flatter you, flirt, or act vulnerable, making you feel special or needed. But once her need is met, she disappears, leaving you with a lingering sense of emptiness. This pattern reveals a harsh truth. She's not interested in you as a person, but in what you can provide: comfort, stability, or validation. Psychologically, this behavior taps into your desire to be useful and valued. Men are often socialized to see their worth in what they can offer, whether it's strength, support, or resources. When she reaches out in a moment of need, it triggers a sense of purpose, making you feel like you're making a difference. But over time, the one-sided nature of this dynamic becomes clear. You're giving, but she's not reciprocating. This creates an emotional deficit where you're drained without being replenished. The utility trap is particularly damaging because it can feel rewarding in the moment. Her gratitude or affection during these interactions can mimic genuine connection. But it's fleeting. You're left hoping each outreach signals a shift, only to find the pattern repeating. In sports, imagine being a bench player who's only called into the game when the star players are unavailable. You're not in the starting lineup, and your role is limited to filling gaps. This is how it feels to be someone's emergency option in a relationship. You're valued for your utility, not your presence. And the longer you accept this role, the more it erodes your self-respect. To escape this dynamic, ask yourself, is she reaching out because she values me, or because I'm useful right now? If the answer leans toward utility, set boundaries, politely decline requests that feel one-sided, and observe how she responds. A woman who truly values you will engage with you beyond her needs. She'll want to know about your life, share in your joys, and contribute to your well-being. By refusing to be a resource on demand, you protect your energy and signal that you expect mutual investment. Consider Tom, a 35-year-old accountant who was drawn to Claire's vulnerability. Claire would call Tom when she was stressed, pouring out her problems and praising his ability to listen. But when Tom tried to share his own challenges or suggest spending time together, Claire was unavailable, citing work or other commitments. Over time, Tom realized he was her emotional ATM, dispensing support whenever she needed it, but receiving nothing in return. When he stopped responding to her distress calls, Claire's contact dwindled, confirming she was more interested in his support than in him. Tom's decision to set boundaries led him to a relationship where both partners invested equally. This example embodies the Stoic principle of guarding your inner resources. By recognizing his role in Claire's life, Tom reclaimed his emotional energy and sought a connection that was truly reciprocal. Number 6, she avoids serious conversations about the relationship. One of the clearest signs of being strung along is her refusal to engage in serious conversations about the relationship's direction. You can talk about anything: movies, work, dreams, but the moment you bring up us, she shuts down, changes the subject, or claims she needs space. This avoidance isn't a sign of fear or indecision. It's a deliberate strategy to keep you in limbo, where she can enjoy the benefits of your presence without the accountability of commitment. At first, you might rationalize her behavior. Maybe she's been hurt before, or maybe she needs time. But over time, you realize she's not unsure, she's unwilling to define the relationship, because doing so would force her to either step up or step out. By keeping things vague, she maintains control, ensuring you remain invested while she keeps her options open. Psychologically, her avoidance exploits your reluctance to push too hard. Many men, wanting to be understanding, back off when met with resistance, fearing they'll lose the connection. This creates a dynamic where honesty feels like a threat, and you learn to tiptoe around serious topics to keep her engaged. But this comes at a cost. You lower your standards, tolerate ambiguity, and sacrifice your need for clarity to maintain access to her. This dynamic mirrors a concept in behavioral psychology called learned helplessness, where repeated setbacks teach you to stop trying. By avoiding serious conversations, she conditions you to accept uncertainty, making you less likely to demand the clarity you deserve. Imagine playing on a team where the coach refuses to define your role. One day you're on offense, the next you're benched. And when you ask for direction, you get, "Let's see how it goes." This lack of clarity would leave you frustrated and disrespected. In relationships, the same applies. A woman who values you communicates with maturity. Even if she's not ready for commitment, she doesn't leave you guessing about your place in her life. The solution is to recognize that avoidance is an answer. Silence, vagueness, or accusations of pressuring her are all indicators of her intentions or lack thereof. Don't lower your standards to keep the connection alive. Instead, calmly state your need for clarity, and if she can't provide it, walk away. This isn't about ultimatums, it's about respecting your right to know where you stand. A woman who truly values you will engage in honest conversations, even if they're uncomfortable, because she respects your time and emotions. Take Mark, a 27-year-old marketer who dated Sophie for 8 months. Their time together was filled with fun moments, but whenever Mark tried to discuss their future, Sophie would deflect, saying she wasn't ready to label things. He gave her space, hoping she'd come around, but the uncertainty began to weigh on him. Finally, he had an honest conversation, expressing his need for clarity. Sophie accused him of being pushy and withdrew. Mark realized her avoidance was her answer, and he chose to move on. Soon after, he met someone who was open about her intentions, and their relationship grew on a foundation of mutual clarity. This story reflects the Stoic principle of accepting reality over wishful thinking. Mark's decision to seek clarity, even at the risk of losing Sophie, was a powerful act of self-respect. Number 7, she's hot and cold on purpose. The final sign is perhaps the most disorienting. Her behavior fluctuates between warm, affectionate moments and cold, distant withdrawals. One day she's all in, texting you sweet messages, laughing at your jokes and making you feel like the center of her world. The next, she's unresponsive, distracted, or emotionally unavailable, leaving you wondering what changed. This hot and cold pattern isn't random. It's a calculated tactic to keep you hooked, creating an emotional roller coaster that's hard to step off. This inconsistency is designed to condition you. Much like a gambler chasing the next win. When she's warm, you feel rewarded. When she's cold, you feel punished, prompting you to try harder to recapture her affection. This cycle keeps you emotionally invested, even as she invests little in return. Psychologically, this tactic exploits the brain's reward system. Intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable bursts of affection, creates a powerful addiction, as your brain chases the next high of her warmth. This is why you might find yourself obsessing over what you did wrong or how to win her back when she pulls away. The truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. The inconsistency is her strategy to maintain control without committing. This dynamic can erode your sense of self, as you mold yourself to fit her shifting moods. Over time, you may lose touch with your own needs, prioritizing her attention over your peace. In sports, imagine a coach who constantly changes the rules, different scoring systems, shifting goalposts, unpredictable expectations. You'd never know how to win, so you'd keep grinding, hoping your effort would be enough. This is what a hot and cold woman does. She creates a game where the rules are unclear, and you're left chasing a moving target. The inconsistency isn't a flaw, it's the game itself. To break free, recognize the pattern and refuse to play. Consistency is a hallmark of emotional maturity, and a woman who values you doesn't make love feel like a gamble. When you notice the hot and cold cycle, step back and observe. Don't chase her warmth or try to fix her coldness. Instead, walk away from the confusion, prioritizing relationships that offer stability and mutual respect. Your emotional energy is too valuable to spend on someone who treats it like a game. Consider Ryan, a 31-year-old entrepreneur who dated Mia for 5 months. Mia's behavior was a roller coaster. One week, she'd plan romantic evenings and send affectionate texts. The next, she'd go silent, claiming she was going through something. Ryan found himself constantly analyzing his actions, trying to recapture her warmth. When he recognized the pattern as intentional, he confronted Mia calmly, expressing his need for consistency. Her response was another withdrawal, and Ryan chose to leave. He later found a partner whose steady presence made him realize what he'd been missing: a relationship free of emotional whiplash. This story embodies the Stoic principle of seeking inner tranquility. By refusing to chase Mia's inconsistent affection, Ryan reclaimed his peace and found a connection that honored his worth. The signs of being strung along busyness: mismatched words and actions, the gray zone, mentions of other men, transactional outreach, avoidance of serious talks, and hot and cold behavior are not random. They are deliberate tactics that keep you invested without requiring genuine commitment. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to reclaiming your power. The second is acting on that recognition, not with anger or despair, but with the quiet strength of a man who knows his value. You are not here to audition for a role in someone else's story. You are the author of your own, and every choice you make shapes the narrative. Choose clarity over confusion, respect over manipulation, and yourself over someone who treats you as an option. In doing so, you open the door to relationships that meet you with intention, honor your worth, and remind you that real love doesn't play games, it builds, uplifts, and endures.